As promised, those 20 things that take zero talent that will make you successful in your career and really beyond. Now, just like I mentioned in the last lecture, these aren't meant to be answers, but really to get you thinking about things, kind of observations, ideas I've seen from others, things that we have implemented in my area, and things that I've done myself. So let's talk about those 20 items that take zero talent. All right, let's go ahead and we'll move my picture totally off here. Now, the first thing, easy. Sometimes it's just showing up, and this is honest to God true. So being on time to work or even being a little bit early, that would be my recommendation. Be a little bit early, if at all possible, about 15 minutes, maybe even a half an hour. If you're a half an hour early into work, all of a sudden you are seen as the workaholic. You are seen as the go-to person. It also allows you to kind of get ready for the day before the rest of the folks come in there. And you seem more prepared to other people, even though you've been there for 15 to 30 minutes. You're kind of more on the ball as the day starts off, and that can start your whole day off really on the right foot. So be on time. Now, I will say, as as an employer, people work for me over the years. Just this may sound ridiculous, but just finding people who show up it's great. I mean, it's like like a blessing. They show up on time. You don't have to call them. They're always, they're there. These are valuable team members. So, takes no talent. Show up on time or be, 15 to 30 minutes early, and it will literally change your world. And it takes no talent. You don't have to practice anything. You don't have to go to school for years. You just gotta set your alarm clock and make sure you're there. Okay, the next thing is work ethic. Be a hard worker. Make sure that you are focused and giving that good work ethic. Don't be perceived as avoiding work. Now, you are working for either an employer or even if you end up working for yourself someday, which is a great thing. If you end up working for yourself, you probably will have an excellent work ethic. Most people that work for themselves or start their own businesses by nature have that kind of work ethic. They're up at 5 o'clock in the morning and they're kind of all in the game. So have a good work ethic. That's something that we look for in our employees here at the college that I've worked for. That I've looked for when I was working as a vice president at the bank. That's something that you want to see. You want to be able to make sure that you're giving value back to your employer. You're not just there to take a paycheck. You're actually giving value, and that's the way it works. I mean, you may look at what you do and know that whatever you do for your employer has to make money on the thing that you do. Okay, so let's say if you're a nurse and you're taking care of patients, okay, and you make $65,000 a year, the billable care, I'll say with kind of air quotes, but basically the billable care, the care that we've been reimbursed on as the hospital, that has to be far in excess of what your paycheck is in order to provide that value back to the organization that hires you. You do not want to be the person that is not providing value back to the organization or in a position that is not doing that. So the best way to do that is through a good hard work ethic. And again, it will benefit your employer, benefit your career, and even if you work for yourself, it'll benefit you as well. So a good work ethic. Again, zero talent. Effort, that you're putting forth effort in the things that you do. It kind of go hand in hand with work ethic, but that you are putting forth the best effort that you can in the things that you do. Again, not hard. Again, not you don't need to be gifted or go to school for a million years, but effort. Even sometimes if it doesn't work out, people will notice the effort. Boy, they really tried, even though XYZ may not have worked out. So effort. Body language. Be aware of your body language when you're interacting with people. You can, again, watch videos on YouTube. You can go to that lynda.com that I mentioned in the previous video. You can watch about how to use body language for your own advantage. Okay, so that's something I need to be aware of personally because sometimes I slouch a little bit and I tend to cross my arms a lot for some reason, which I know can project a closed stance to individuals. So I have to be very careful about my body language and I need to use it to my advantage to actually consciously use body language to your advantage. Um, you can almost think of it like a Jedi mind trick. You can use body language, you can actually use tone of voice, you can use the cadence and the rhythm of your voice to sometimes, you know, exert a control over a situation. Maybe not full control, but a little bit of control over a situation, or you can alter perceptions of how people see you. Again, through body language, through voice, through the pacing of your voice. So use those all to your advantage. Energy. Again, seem like the person that has the energy that you're constantly moving and buzzing around. You don't and again, energy, work ethic, effort all kind of go hand in hand, but be energetic in your emotions. Be energetic, within your job. That energy will be seen by others. There's an individual here at the college, and that individual is constantly interacting with all of us, with almost boundless energy. So try to use that to your advantage. Now, you may have times where you have to just check out, where you need to just re energize. Do those where you're not seen. Okay. So if you're known as the energetic, the Energizer Bunny, or you're constantly moving around, but you just need to pull away, maybe you pull away to a private place at work so others don't see that. So they only see you as kind of that ball of fire and that energy. So energy is a very good positive thing to project. Attitude, having a good attitude at work, that is also critical. I typically, I should say, I hire when I hire an individual. I will primarily hire on attitude. I will not primarily hire on knowledge. If you've got a good attitude, you're someone I want to work with. You're someone that's going to be on my team. And you got that positive attitude. Um, I can teach you the rest. I can teach you the technical stuff. Now, you might have a certain body of knowledge that you have to have, but let's say you're not the best in the world at it, or necessarily, maybe you're a C, kind of, let's say a C or a B. I love C's and B's, quite frankly. As long as you got that attitude and some of these other things, the on time, the effort, the body language, the energy, those things are far beyond kind of, I'll say, the grade. So, here's a little secret of mine, or if you will, I tell everybody that wants to listen. I think the best workers, the best team members, the best people I want to interact with, in general, are students who have a 3.0, that have a B in average, a B. That tells me that in many cases they were able to balance work, life, academics at a good level, but keep everything in check. They were good with multitasking and doing all of that and keeping things balanced. I will say too that not always, but in general, okay, in general, for you 4.0ers, I'm sorry. But again, this is not a fast rule, but I've noticed that the individuals with a 3.0, kind of that B average, tend to be very good with these soft skills with patient care, interacting with patients as human beings, with empathy and kindness, and it's kind of seeing that big picture. Again, the technical part we can generally teach. And again, if they have that good attitude to learn, that really helps. So attitude really is everything. Being prepared, or I'm sorry, I skipped one. Passion. Having passion for what you're doing. Being passionate about certain things. I'm very passionate about some of the things, many of the things that we do here at Mercy College. And that passion really helps feed the energy and the effort and so many of the other things that I do. So having passion for what you do. Now, sometimes we fall into careers that maybe we don't have the passion for. Um, because it maybe pays good, but you don't. It's hard to squeeze the passion out of it. Try to find something within it. Try to find something within that career that you can be passionate about. Maybe it's a project or some aspect of the career that you can have passion. I'm not going to be one of these people um, that says, quit your job and find something you're passionate about. That may not be realistic, quite frankly. You have to be very careful. If you are moving your career into something that more aligns with your passions, you do have to do that, I think, in most cases, very cautiously. Now, for those people that can quit their job and go after something that brings them passion, that's great. Um, it probably means you have nobody depending on you. You don't have kids or a mortgage or other things, and you can do that. Great, go for it. I did it once. I did it once. That was before I had kids, and my wife and I basically quit our jobs and we walked the earth. We literally walked the earth. We went to the other side of the planet, um, 12 time zones away, and spent 6 months in Thailand and did something crazy like that. It was absolutely crazy. But we had no kids, we had dual incomes at the time, and we had plenty of savings. So uh, it was a little crazy, but it ended up working out. But most people can't do that. So do try to find passion within the work that you do. Being prepared, being ready for work. If that means, I mean, it could be something very basic, like making sure that you have, a pencil and paper and pens and a notebook, that that you're reasonably prepared for your day. Whatever that day is, being prepared. Um, People will come into. I have this. People believe that I'm incredibly organized. Now they don't know my secret is that sometimes it's complete chaos. But I try to be organized and prepared. I always make an effort at it. It doesn't always work, but I'm constantly working at that. So again, being prepared, doing that little extra piece here on number 9. You know, setting that thing a little bit above and beyond. Somebody asks for XYZ, and then you give them, one extra piece. And oh, I thought you might benefit from this too. Whatever that is, give them a little extra. Or here's another technique. You somewhat you don't want to overcommit. So let's say you are working on a project and you think, I probably can have this done on Tuesday. I probably can do it on Tuesday. I'll tell my boss I'll have it done on Tuesday. Don't tell your boss you'll have it done on Tuesday. Tell your boss you'll have it done on Thursday. And then when you turn it on Tuesday, you're like, hey, I had some extra time. I was able to knock this out a couple days early. You will look like, like the best person in the world. So, do that. Watch your commitment levels, and always provide that little piece extra, and that will really ingrain that in the minds of others. Plus, that little extra, I will say, there for so many of these things, there's sort of this background accumulation effect. So even if it's only a little bit extra in the things that you do, an extra 5%, an extra 2%, accumulates over the weeks, months, years, and can really make a difference in your overall career. Number 10, be coachable. Be able to take criticism. Ask for criticism, constructive criticism. Nothing is better than coming, from being a supervisor and having an employee say, "Hey, can you tell me how I did? I really would appreciate some, some corrective or some constructive criticism in XYZ, whatever that was." it is like when someone asks me for that, I'm like, thank God. I mean, it's like the best thing in the world versus me having to come in and give it. It it just shows me that they're so much more coachable and that they want to hear this information to improve or at least to understand what maybe your boss or your organization wants from you. So be coachable. Ask for that constructive criticism and take it. Don't take it personal. Take it as something that helps you. That is such a wonderful benefit. Number 11, being organized. Again, that kind of goes with being prepared, but whatever your organization is, whatever kind of things that you need for your tools of the trade, having those items organized, I think will help you. And there will be times things go crazy, and your office area or your department or wherever you're working becomes disorganized. Maybe you've been handling patients all day, one right after another. Yes, but when you have that downtime, get back organized. um, and as far as patient care goes, I mean, being organized can actually save a life where you know maybe where certain things are at a moment's notice. So staying organized. Number 12, being accountable. It's sort of when you look at personal responsibility, not passing the buck, you know, um, being accountable for your actions. Don't finger point to others, Now, there are obviously cases where individuals, where blame needs to be given. That is okay. But don't be, oh, it wasn't me, it was her, you know. Um, and it's when you look at kind of the hallmark of maturity in an individual's adult maturity, having that accountability is very, very important. So, and that can mean, taking the fault, I mean, when you really, I guess, don't take blame for somebody else's fault. That's I don't want you to do that. But hey, if it's my responsibility in my area to take care of something and ultimately it's my responsibility, I'll say, hey, this was my responsibility. We didn't get this done. There might have been structural factors that allowed us not to get whatever it was done. But hey, it was my responsibility to get it done. We didn't get it done. Simple as that. That will earn you respect. That will earn you respect. So, be accountable. It also, again, changes the way you think about things too. When you know that you are accountable and personally responsible for yourself, your career. That's the other thing. You are personally responsible, and all of this that we've talked about. You are responsible for your career, not somebody else. Your boss isn't responsible for training you. Your boss is not responsible for you being prepared for the next promotion or the next job opportunity. That's you. You are accountable to yourself. If you rely on others to do it, um, you will be in a tough spot. You might get lucky and have a great boss who will help coach you, who will help do that. I've always liked to think I was pretty good. I mean, I tried to look at the person who was going to replace me. Who's going to replace me? I want you know everybody to move up, if that's what they want. Um, but anyhow, all right, enough about accountability. Being helpful. Again, just being the helpful person in the office, in the department, on the floor. You know, having that helpful attitude will be very well. Again, zero talent needed for these things. Being positive about stuff. There's so much negativity in healthcare, and I'll be honest, it's easy to do. I'll be honest, I fall into this as well, being negative. I try to remember to pull back and to think about the positive things that we do. Think about the positive impact that we have on the lives of our patients, and in my case, patients and students. It's a great, great thing. So try to be positive. If you have those low times, hide them if you can. But being a positive person. Nobody likes anybody being kind of a downer all the time. Um, One way that I kind of get rid of through some of the negativity is with humor. A group of us will kind of, uh, commiserate jointly and laugh about some of the negative things that we see, happening sometimes within the landscape of healthcare. Of course, if we were allowed to change healthcare, we would have everything fixed in a couple days, but they won't let us change it. So, but jokes like that, that kind of help us get through the day with a little bit of humor. So, being positive. Next one is flexible. Flexibility. Oh, that's not my job. That's not my job description. I can't do that. Um, no, I don't do laundry. No, housekeeping does this. I don't do that. No, be flexible. If something needs to be done, do it. That flexibility will help you. If you're seen as a multi-tool, as one of these things that can do anything, the screwdriver, the wrench, the saw, the knife, all that stuff, you're going to be more valuable to your organization. And personally, you're going to have more, I guess, personal value with your flexibility and being able to adapt to the environment, whatever that environment may be. That could be personal, that could be professional, but having flexibility will allow you to will allow you at least more options to navigate. None of this stuff is going to be a surefire, silver bullet win, but it will give you some marginal added benefit to certain situations. So flexibility really does help. Team player. Team player, kind of cliched, but it kind of goes into a lot of the things that we've already said. We we had a little thing where when we were hiring people, we didn't want to hire anybody who was a jerk. Kind of going back to these positive attitudes and good energy, all of this stuff. But last thing we want to do is hire someone who's going to be a jerk and work on it. Actually, we use a little different term for it, but I'll use the word jerk. Who's going to be a jerk? So you want to be someone who is a good team player, who will lead when necessary, or take direction when necessary. You know, that's what you want. I will say, when you're in a leadership situation, having a good team behind you will make your job so much easier, and you'll appreciate being able to flip back and forth between those roles. I think being a good team player and a good leader go back and forth. You kind of know when to do each. You want to be reliable. Again, that's coming to work early or on time. You want to be there. Again, so much of this is just showing up. Just showing up. We have had individuals you're interviewing. They won by just showing up. When you're down to 3 candidates, 2 of them call off, 1 shows up, you win. So again, be reliable for your organization and also, for yourself. Confidence. You want to project confidence. I would tell students when we were doing venipuncture training that this may sound kind of crazy, but for those of you that do venipuncture, you may understand this. Venipuncture is where you're starting an IV, typically, into a vein. Okay, and as a CT technologist, we would start IVs all the time, and I was never good at it. I was never really good at it, but someone told me a technique. They said, something, Chris, you're going into this already feeling not confident. Go in feeling confident. You're going to get it. You're going to get that stick. You're going to get that vein. Just that perceptual change in me allowed me, I was much better at it. I was never great, but I was much better having confidence. And then the patient saw that I had confidence when I went in. Oh yeah, we're going to get this, no problem. It just changed the whole dynamic. It was actually like a little bit of magic. It was like a little bit of magic by just projecting the confidence on the situation. And it may have been more theater, of me just projecting the body language, projecting the verbalization of confidence, but it really did work in the end. And that made me better with starting venipuncture. It made others people see me as being better with venipuncture, and because I really was. So now all of a sudden they're asking me, "Hey, this is a difficult we call a difficult stick. Can you come in and do this one?" Sure, I can do it. you know, of course, you don't want to overstep your boundaries with confidence and patient care. Like, yeah, I can do brain surgery. No, but with confidence, it can go so far. In the interview, having confidence. I was recently reading uh, a kind of a threaded discussion, and in it, this individual was talking about how he was searching for a job for over a year and a half, and that he received some eye-opening advice from one of his interviewers. Okay, so he didn't get the job. He was in a technology-related field. He hasn't been getting this job for a year and a half. Really good academics, outstanding, all of this, yada yada, but wasn't getting this job. So he asked the interviewer, "Hey, was there some reason? I know I didn't get the job, but was there some reason that I didn't get the job? I'm looking for that coachable moment." He wanted to be coached. That was good. Good sign right there. He wanted to be coached. Most of the time, the interviewer won't even give you the time of day. That's the way. Unfortunately, it's the way it works. You will not find out why you didn't get the job. He got what I think was someone who had the time. That's another issue. Had the time and was a great person, and told this individual why he didn't get the job. And it was his interview, because he was self-deprecating throughout the entire interview. He was down on himself that he couldn't do it. And the interview said, you lost it right there. You can't go into an interview without that confidence. Now, to me, that was like, wow, you didn't know this? When you go into an interview, you need to project confidence. But this individual never had any interview training, which was terrible. The school he went to should have given, they probably should have had a director of career development like we do that can show you how to do interviews and show you that you need to project that confidence. So, having that confidence in the interview, having confidence in your meetings, in your having confidence with your superiors, and even this like the CFO or CEO, they're just people too, you know, and quite frankly, they're not really better than you. They may have a skill. They may have a skill, could be a social intelligence. They could have a ability to work networks better than you. They may have a knowledge base better than you. They've practiced at becoming an expert at something. Um, but there are very, very few people I have met in my life who are foundationally better than me. And I'm just a very average person. Now, there are some extremely extraordinary individuals who are incredibly gifted that just have like extra synapses in their brain, or, you know, um, something special with their energy that they can work 20 hours a day. But in general, everybody's pretty much the same. They've been able to develop some things either better than me, or have gotten lucky in some things. So I kind of go into it looking like this, that there are very few people, and I would recommend that too. They're no different than you. Um, Even a physician, all right, they were blessed enough to be able to go to school for an extra 8 to 12 years. Okay. Some of us, because of circumstances, we couldn't do that. So, but it's something that I think all of us could do. We can all study and work hard. Um, so there you go. So I think go into go into situations with others, not cocky, not overconfident, but just confident, comfortable with who you are. Um, and that's a skill to be learned. You know, we all have moments of doubt. We all can feel down on ourselves, but you got to keep going on it. Number 19, critical thinking and problem solving. I think I mentioned it earlier, not getting answers spoon fed to you from somebody else. Well, what do you think I should do now? Did you look it up and try to figure it out yourself? You know, I'll get, you don't want to be that person that kind of goes to your superiors, to others all the time, and without trying to problem solve something yourself. So become a good critical thinker, become a good problem solver. If you don't know how to do that, that's okay. Now, I will say that most of the education that you're getting here at Mercy College, either at the associate degree or baccalaureate level, is training you to be a good critical thinker. The one thing we're not really great at, it's covered in some of our coursework, is problem solving, um, especially from a kind of a social aspect. Not necessarily like math, not problem solving with math, though that can actually extend into things that you'll have at work. Being able to look at a situation and come up with possible answers in that situation. But there are a ton of videos out there that can show you how to be a good critical thinker, how to be a good problem solver. Now, one last thing on this problem solving. The critical thinking problem solving question will almost come up in every interview. It'll be in some different format. They might ask it, they're all going to ask it a little bit different. But when you get that question, you know what that question is. It's the critical thinking problem solving question that you're going to get in a job interview. What is great is if you can answer that interview with a skill, with a methodology. Okay. So, for example, we just got done with a bunch of interviews and we asked this question, not exactly that way, but it is the critical thinking problem solving issue. And this person answered it textbook. She answered with, she uses a formula, kind of a little mental trick or a process for problem solving. And Benjamin Franklin came up with this little, yes, that Benjamin Franklin, the one with the kite and the key and that's on the $100 bill, that Ben Franklin, with a way of problem solving a situation. So you can Google it, look it up. But there's all kinds of little ideas how to approach a problem, which are all very valuable. There's actually some pretty fancy ones that the CIA, yes, that CIA, have developed in problem solving, how to actually look at a problem and not just wing it, actually come up with methodologies that prove that nothing's ever 100%, but that move you beyond kind of that 50% right or wrong method. But look up problem solving and look up some of the simple ways to problem solve. And if you have that interview question, you go, yes, well, I use this method. I'm just pick on the Benjamin Franklin method. This method I actually learned, I read about that actually Benjamin Franklin did, where you make the attributes plus and minus and all of this stuff. So, so come up, think about that. Think about coming up with some basic techniques for problem solving, and you can actually apply it to anything in life. Should I get a new house? Should I get a new apartment? Should I marry that spouse? What should I do with my teenage daughter that wants to buy a car? You can use these kind of problem solving skills for so many different things. So critical thinking and problem solving, big thing to have. Again, really requires zero talent. Maybe watch a few videos, maybe read a book. There's a ton of them out there, and you'll be you'll be so far ahead of others. And then number 20, I wanted to leave with 20, and that's empathy. Having empathy for others, seeing their side of the situation, of their story. I think that's so critical, whether it's patient care, whether it's dealing with customers, whether it's dealing with our other people in our team, with our supervisors, or with our employees, having empathy to that. People aren't cold hard numbers. They are human beings that are traveling through life just like we are, with all the trials and tribulations, just like we do. And knowing that each one of them has a story and a narrative just like we do. And that is empathy. So having empathy for others is very, very critical, and especially, obviously, in what we, most of us have been called to do in healthcare. So empathy. Then lastly, I'm going to leave you with this. And we've talked a lot about these things. Some of them may resonate with you, some of them may not. You make your own list of whatever those might be. These are just kind of some talking points. But I think the lesson that I have learned, that I'm always striving for, is don't expect to be perfect. Just be consistent and persistent. So, any one of these, if I'm a little down on passion and energy, it's all right. I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but I'm going to get back on that horse, the very next day and keep at it. Keep at it. So being consistent and persistent. That's really with anything, whether it's, something as crazy as diet and exercise. I'll pick on diet. Diet, I was always, I'd start a diet and then I'd blow it. I would eat whatever, and then I'd be, oh, I've messed up. Just forget it. My new thing is that's okay. If I allow myself to cheat and have those days, that's perfectly okay to do that. But then you just get right back on again, back onto whatever, eating healthy, that you're doing, Same thing with exercise, you're going to have days where you're just blah, you know. But then you try to go back and you try to, do whatever you do to exercise, yoga or meditation or running or whatever you do. So um, allow yourself to have those off times and I don't want to say, I guess, kind of forgive yourself, but not even really forgive yourself. It's okay. It's okay to have those. So, if one day you approach, your boss approaches you and you aren't feeling so coachable that day, okay? Maybe you have a little interaction with your boss, you're not so coachable that day, that's fine. But maybe the next day you go back in there, you say, hey, I was really having an off day yesterday, and I know you're trying to come in there. We were trying to, you're trying to give me some feedback on X, Y, Z, and look, I want to say, I guess I'm sorry, kind of how I reacted, but can we talk about that now or sometime later on today? I really would like to get your feedback on that situation, and I really appreciate it. That's okay. So you go back, you fix it. So there you go. So don't expect to be perfect. Don't hold yourself perfect because that leads to a whole lot of stress. The way that you're perfect is that you perfectly try to be consistent and persistent. And if you do that over time, these things, these zero talent things, really the soft skills, these are really soft skills that I talked about earlier. They accumulate and they move you forward in your life, both professionally and personally. I'm sure I've missed some items on here. Some of the other softer skills, we don't address in this particular area might be faith and spirituality, health, exercise, things like that, that will infuse your professional life because if you're not, feeling spiritually whole, whatever that might be, and that could be, you could be an atheist. That could be okay, having that beliefs, having no belief system. But some of those more, I guess, even softer skills that can uh, go into our personal professional lives, I haven't addressed in here. These are more career oriented types of stuff. So make your own list, review it every now and then, and strive for some of these items. Okay, there you go. There's your 20 items that require zero talent.